about pride, I do. Things get better with time. Like souls never undying as a haiku. These thoughts never can die. These tears never gonna dry when I lose you. Some hearts double inside.
Man, that intro gets me pumped every single time. Guys, it is Friday. Welcome back to Monday Evening Football Daily Show. Hey, we got one thing and one thing only to talk about today, and that is the Chicago Bears and their potential relocation to Arlington Racetrack. So, moving off the lake, that could potentially be great for their team. I think, guys, I think you're starting to see a shift in the Bears organization. I don't know what it is or what's really going on, but I think them putting in this bid to buy Arlington Racetrack, if you are a Bears fan, I think you're probably pretty excited about that. I think you see the value in the Chicago Bears making a move to Arlington Racetrack. I think there's still obviously a ton of things that need to get figured out, and probably nothing is going to happen anytime soon. But the process has been started, at least, that the Bears might be looking for another home, if you will. Maybe you build a nice stadium that has a dome and you can host games all year round. Also, Super Bowls, stuff like that. And then I hear potentially, too, through the grapevine, that Lori Lightfoot is a Packer fan. The mayor of Chicago is a Packer fan. No, I'm kidding, guys. She's not a Packers fan, but she did have some very, how do I put this, unique things to say after the Bears came out and said they submitted their bid for Arlington Racetrack to potentially, own that property. And, Lori Lightfoot was, came out and stated pretty much that, Mayor Lightfoot, sorry, but she pretty much came out and stated that she wanted, the Bears to stay in Chicago. They've been a great part in them reopening the city, everything like that, which sounds great. And, the Bears are locked into a lease at Soldier Field until 2033, which I'm sure, you would probably be able to get out of that somehow. And here's the crazy part of what Mayor Lightfoot said is that she said that the Bears need to focus on putting together a winning organization, beating the Packers, and being relevant past October. That is wild. Everything else is noise. That is a wild statement coming from your mayor. Like, very controversial and not the thing. I understand, like, she wants the Bears to stay in Chicago for, multitude of reasons. But, if it's better for the team to move outside of Chicago, I don't know if those types of statements is what's going to get them to stay. But who knows? Maybe it is. It could potentially be. But what I found interesting about this whole situation is the fact that the Bears could potentially be a two-city team. And that is not something that I've thought about before, that, Chicago could host two teams, very much like New York does, Los Angeles does now. And that fact was something that was very interesting to me, because I did see, I believe it was over on Pro Football Talk, I did see that I believe Mike Florio was talking about the potential of having a two-team team, because right now the way the NFL sits is that it needs to get bigger and it needs to put more of a product out there for, fantasy football players, people who want to bet on the game, because right now you can't extend the season much further than what it is. It'll get to an 18-game season. So since you can't extend the season much further to 30 weeks or something like that, because obviously that's crazy in the football world, so now you need to start adding more teams. And the way you do that is by you find a place like London who can already host two teams, and then you start looking in your inner markets and you see, okay, well, Chicago could host a team. Maybe you put a team back in St. Louis, given they haven't burned all their bridges when the Rams left. I saw San Diego was another name floated out there to host a team. But the problem with that I saw was the taxpayer, and good luck getting them to help fund a stadium build, which is going to be another issue with all this. But I think you will find some interesting homes for new teams as the league starts to expand over the next several years. And I think Chicago could potentially be not only a two baseball town, but a two football two-team football town as well, and that I thought was very interesting. Um, where do you guys think would be a great place to put a football team? Let's talk about now. We're trying to expand the league, so we're at 32 teams right now. Probably the next 5 to 10 years, they probably want to get to 40. Given you put two in London, so now we're at 34. So now we have 6 teams to probably fill across the United States. Do you put one up in Toronto? Or does that make things too complicated as far? I mean, if you're putting one in London, why wouldn't you put one in Toronto? I would put one there. That'd be 35, easy enough. I think Toronto is a team that would really rally behind it. Now, the thing with putting one in Toronto is how does that affect with the CFL? But I'm sure, I guess the NFL isn't too, maybe they are concerned about that. But they, eventually not. So okay, let's say we put one in Toronto, that puts us at 35. You put one in Chicago, that gets us to 36. And then I think you really need to start to think about some smaller markets that really could strive with another team in there. I saw San Antonio floated out as an idea, but the argument against that would be Dallas and Houston. Probably wouldn't go for that. So you start looking at some other states, maybe Tampa Bay has a team. Scott, what are you thinking about? I'm trying to think about where there's other markets like baseball or hockey or basketball where they could add. Maybe you do Portland or something like that. Portland Trailblazers, Portland, Oregon. That'd be an interesting market up there. It'd be an interesting market for sure. But yeah. So comment below where do you think a good place to have a stadium would be, or a new team, an expansion team. We're trying to go from 32 to 40 probably over the next 5 to 10 years because the NFL is going to want, and this is all just speculation. We don't know if we don't have sources in the NFL like that yet, but they're coming. So it is, it's an interesting thing to see what's happening with Chicago. And I think they're starting to make some things go there. And as a Chicago fan, if you are, you should be excited about that. And if you're Mayor Lightfoot, you're going to have to do a better job of, conveying that, like, hey, they are going to put together a winning team, not just say they need to focus on that and everything else is just noise. Because, they're an organization that's trying to get better at the end of the day. As much as they've struggled to do so over the past years, they are trying to get better. And I think, something like this could potentially be enough publicity to get some momentum rally behind the team. Got a lot of things happening. Maybe they are moving to Arlington, maybe they're not, but they're being talked about. And guys, we talked about this before with Jacksonville staying relevant in the news, building their new facility. Really committing to Jacksonville. And this is the same way that the Chicago Bears definitely need. They definitely need a new stadium because Soldier Field is, for as nostalgic as it is, it's on the lake, and I'm sure Bears fans love it. I think having a dome in this market is probably just the smart thing to do, and it opens up a ton of things for Chicago and the Chicagoland area, to be able to host a Super Bowl. Could you imagine the Chicagoland area hosting a Super Bowl and potentially having 2 teams in this market? I think that's something that is definitely worth considering for the NFL to do. And if you're looking to expand the league, because you realize you have to have more games on, and because now that betting is becoming legal, you do start to look what markets can we put another team in, what markets can we add a team, and it'll be very interesting to see. So, guys, also next week we're going to be moving to 1:30, and we're going to be doing that time next week. That way Nick will be here. It'll be great. We'll be able to have some banter back and forth. It'll be awesome. But other than that, you guys go and have a great Friday. I'm going to do the same. Me and Nick, we're about to hop on a phone call, get some stuff done. Once he gets done with his, what he's tied up with, coaching some basketball. And guys, we look forward to seeing you guys next week, 1:30. And also, if you haven't signed up for that newsletter, feel free to sign up for it. There's a lot of great information coming at you in there. So, hey, it's been real. It's been fun.